Good morning. We are live, I hope. I welcome to anyone who is on immediately, but I'm going to give it a few moments. I'm just going to get my stream running over here. Fantastic. Wonderful. All right. And let me get it running over here, and then I'm going to start talking to everyone, I promise. There we have it. Wonderful. All right, we're definitely live. We're live and kicking. So, oops. And we're behind on that. Okay, right, we're good. So welcome to this LinkedIn Live Ignite Leadership series. I'm not actually sure what episode we're on. I think we're on, what have we got? 11. This is about episode 15. So I can't believe it's been going for this long. And I am so thrilled that I'm getting such great feedback and everybody's loving it. So why do I run these lives? And I'm going to have a bit of an intro chat just while everybody jumps on. The reason I run these lives is I have been in the IT industry recruiting and coaching and working with leaders and their teams and helping build amazing teams for around 20 years. And I have met some incredible people. I have met people who are younger and seen them come on their journey into leadership. I have worked with leaders who I have seen sort of morph and change and develop, and who are inspiring, who've built some fantastic teams. And I've always wanted to bring mentorship to the table. So I've always wanted to connect people and bring people together. And it is really challenging, I'm finding, for people to always find the right mentors. Also, you meet one mentor and they can't give you everything. So really the concept of this is to bring mentors to you and to enable you to learn from their experiences. So the lives are all about talking through the sort of leadership experience, the growth that these leaders have been through, some of the amazing lessons they've learned that they can share, and kind of standing on the shoulders of giants. If you want to be the best, you tend to want to model the best. So if you look at all the sports stars and everybody else who is successful, they will be identifying people who have been there, who've walked the line, who've walked the path, and they'll learn from their mistakes. They'll learn from what doesn't work, and then they'll also learn from what does work. So hence these conversations. So I hope that it's really valuable to you. And over the Christmas period, I've said this a couple of times, I've had a really good think, because people have been asking me for more, and I'm trying to decide, how can I connect more mentors with more people? And in fact, I'd love to be connecting mentors with other mentors, so that it's not just a mentor-mentoree relationship, but it's a mentor-to-mentor relationship, because leadership is such a lonely place. And I find that a lot of leaders don't find time to connect. They sometimes are not comfortable necessarily sharing experiences, and all of us suffer from all sorts of things, like, for example, imposter syndrome, where we don't always think that what we bring to the table is as impressive or as important as others. So again, removing that and knowing that every one of us in leadership has something to share. And so bringing this new program that I'm building, which I will be launching on the 1st of March, I've decided to commit to a date because we're just getting all the content ready. This will be a subscription-based membership. So you'll have access to my leadership community that I will be building in the membership environment. The people who are speaking to you here on the lives will be involved in the membership community. We will be providing extra content. There will be coaching in terms of group coaching and some roundtables. There will be some masterclasses as well. So very excited to be bringing it to you. I'm going to open it up for members now. So I'm opening it up now. What will be the price of the membership will be $79 per month for 12 months, and you will get access to absolutely everything, including live mentors that you can connect with in the community and in the environment. So that's exciting. What I'm doing now is, if you want to ping me, you will get the membership for $49 a month for the first 12 months. So that is, I think, a really good price point, and more than valuable in terms of what you will get from this incredible community and the incredible learnings. So I have been raving on for 5 minutes. Just very quickly, I'm hoping that we've got people online already. I would love you to get involved in the conversation today. So please let us know you are here. Let us know where you are in the world. And let us know if you're watching the live or the recording, and put some questions into the chat. So if there's things you'd like to know, because we're about to jump in and talk to Philip Belcher, who has years of experience to share, and I'm sure would be more than happy to answer your questions. So without further ado, I am going to introduce Philip Belcher. I'll just bring him up into the stream so that we can say hi, and then I'll tell you a little more about him. Hi, Philip. How are you?
Hello, Rebecca. How are you? Hello, everyone.
Very good. I'm very good. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm just going to give a little bit of a blurb on who you are, just so everybody knows. And I'm sure plenty who are watching have already seen you before. But Philip is currently CEO and founder of LTE Consulting, where he and his affiliates are providing services to corporates and individual clientele that assist in achieving superior business performance. Philip has a huge amount of experience in the technology space, in leadership roles, both operational, sales, and general management, and so forth. He has worked with companies like Cisco Systems. Philip was one of the first leaders in Cisco Systems in Australia, I believe. And then companies like Datacraft. Some of these companies have morphed into different businesses now. Dimension Data, Storage Tech, NEC, and who else? I think I've missed one. AWA, Radware. So a lot of leading IT organizations. And Philip's also been quite heavily involved in educating in the IT space as well. And has 12 years as a board member at Box Hill Institute of TAFE. And he was deputy chair for 3 years, and was as director was a contributing member to the steering committee that established the ICT degree in Australia for them. So amazing. Wonderful. Our comments are starting to pop through now. Hi, Glenn. Hi, David, Paul, Richard, Shrikant, and LinkedIn user from Sydney. Sorry, it's not coming up as to who you are. It's the joys of technology. Sometimes it cuts it out. So, and just to finish off on Philip really quickly, he holds an MBA from Macquarie University, and is a fellow at the Australian Institute of Directors. He has written a book, which I have just received and I'm excited to start reading, which is all about sales success. We will add a link to this if you'd like to have a look at that book after the session as well. So we are very blessed to have Philip here with us today to talk to us about his leadership journey and to answer questions for us. So gosh, those messages are coming through thick and fast. So thank you so much. Thank you, Cheaton, John, Lynn, and people who are LinkedIn users are not coming up as names. I've got them over here. So Joe, John, Paul, wonderful. All right, let's jump into it. I feel like I'm out of breath now. That was an amazing background on you. So Philip, I wonder if you would start us off by sharing with us, how did you find yourself in leadership in the first place?
Well, let me thank you, Rebecca, and that was a very lengthy introduction. I just want to say thank you to you for the opportunity to speak, and to everybody that's joining online. I hope that you get something out of it. If you just get one thing that challenges you to think and go and do something else, I'd be delighted with what we've done here today. How did I get into leadership? Completely accidentally. I think I was a precocious child. I always seem to have a thought of, wouldn't it be great if we could do something here? Or what about we try this? So, from an early age, I just seemed to get involved in things, and, through scouts and playing music and various other sides of things, I seemed to end up in leadership positions, albeit nothing, some of them were formal, some of them weren't. And then through my working career, I was fortunate enough to start my career in what's now Telstra as a trainee technical officer. And that was actually training you to be a manager. So from a very early stage, I got some management training. And after that, through various roles, ended up in positions where, for one reason or another, I ended up being either a team leader or a manager, and ultimately to running businesses and companies.
Amazing. And so, in terms of did you always know you were going to be in leadership? Was it something that was innate in you, or do you think it was something that people were picking up and you were kind of learning as you went?
Yeah, it wasn't until later. I had my own small business doing block cabling of buildings in Melbourne, would you believe? And I took a conscious decision to say, I think there's a bigger world than this. So I joined the corporate side of things. And again, this nature of mine to say, wouldn't it be good if we could, or why don't they do this? The typical conversation you would have around the coffee machine or the water cooler. That I thought, one thing that I think is really important is a lot of people will be backseat drivers, and a lot of people have got opinions. One of the things that I find is incumbent on me is, if I'm prepared to be vocal and say, I think you should be doing this, I better be prepared to do it. So that was where I took the conscious decision to say, some of this is going to be risky, but I'll have a go. So, I would put my step into leadership to being have a go. And candidly, it was after I'd had a go a few times and done a few things that I ended up in sales. And again, in that sales area, you're at the pointy end, and quite often you're saying to yourself and other people, why don't they, or shouldn't they? And that was where it gravitated from being at that pointy end of sales to ending up being in leadership of different, organisations, if you want.
Yeah, I think there's I mentioned before when I was doing the intro, this these fears that we have as humans, and the underlying, ego that drives our decisions to speak up or not to speak up. And so you've just taken a fairly bold step into leadership. Many people really struggle to even speak up in meetings sometimes. So they've got, the fear of being wrong, or the imposter syndrome playing out. Have you got advice you can share that, that helps with that? Any you would do?
Definitely. This imposter syndrome is something that's become a catchphrase at the moment. Yeah. It basically just means you sit there and think, I'm not good enough. And let me say to you, even now, there'll be times I'll think, why am I talking to all of these people on this video conference? Because really, they probably know more about it than I do. And they probably do. I know there's people on this call who are extremely good leaders and extremely good managers. But what I would say to people is, just stand back a fraction and take a third-party view of yourself, and take a view of what you've done, and not just in the discipline that you're in. Take a look at you as a whole person, and say, interesting. Yes, I have done this, or I do know that. So then work out how you bring that to the situation that you're in. And you'll be very, very surprised at how you can all of a sudden take a step in a new direction, because you're actually calling on you and what's inside you, as opposed to worrying about what other people are thinking about.
Yeah, I think that's the big thing, is worrying, and sometimes it's just difficult to get through that boundary. I often share techniques with, and in fact, can be really amazing leaders who still struggle with this stuff, right? And because it exists in all of us. And so, from your perspective, did you ever jump in feet first and find perhaps it was not the right path or not the right decision?
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. I wanted to get away from electronics at one stage, and a good friend of mine was in real estate and said, "You'd make a good real estate agent." So way back, I went, "Oh, yeah, sure, I'll have a go. I don't know about houses and buildings." So I went and became a real estate agent, and within the first year, I became their number one, and then ended up in sales management there. But after 2 years, I realised this isn't me. I'm not passionate about this. I've got to get back to technology, because that's really what I enjoy and what I'm passionate about. So, but the interesting thing is, when you jump in and have a go, and even if it's too deep, as long as you can swim out, that's a very important thing. Be able to swim out when you jump in.
Yeah.
Or sometimes if you get egg on your face, just wipe it off and keep going, because, well, what's it matter? You really will learn things out of those experiences. So it's not learning out of all the good and wonderful things that you've done. It's also learning from the having a go. There was one of my sales managers back in the Datacraft days had a saying of, pioneers get arrows in the chest. And because you'd go in and complain about something, and you'd come out and think, well, yeah, actually, that's true. You're going to have to take some of the blows on the way through, but don't let them get you down. Just keep powering ahead.
Yeah. And, it's easy said, but I suppose you realise that the next step still brings success. It doesn't, making one mistake doesn't negate any future success you might have.
Absolutely not. No, I've worked with some great people who have in themselves, they've taken some steps in different directions, and you can tell out of them that they've got that experience. They've got some of that, so that any negative experience they've had isn't holding them back. They're drawing on it to say, I've been there. I can now know a different way around it.
I've just got a message that somebody had asked a question in the event page, and I'm going to jump to that because it is a fabulous question. So if you don't mind, so Phil, if you were starting up a tech business today, what type of tech would it be? Software, apps, AI, etc. So what's your view on sort of where technology is going? That's a big question.
It's a great, I hate it when people say it's a great question, but it is a really good question. Thank you. Yeah. What's hot at the moment, of course, is apps and software. But my answer to the question would be, if I was going to start up a technology business today, I would look for a hole in the market, and it wouldn't matter what the technology was, a hole in the market where there's a real need, and that with what we could assemble, we could address it well, and that would have a future. So I think that, I've watched the ebbs and flows of technology and ICT, starting in telecommunications and ending up in data communications, etc., and even to an extent in the computer areas. And there tends to be flavors that go through. So rather than looking at a specific technology, I would more look at the markets that are available out there and look for the ones that aren't addressed well, that we can address effectively with the skills and the capability that we've got.
Yeah, great point. It's about what problem needs to be solved, and where there's no one or not enough people solving it well.
Yeah, or where there's an edge, and there's not a lot of invention. I mean, there are many patents, but when you look at some of the things that have been highly successful, there've been innovations on existing things that have been out there, but the clever people have been able to pull them together. I love the story of Steve Jobs, where he wanted to make an iPod into a phone, but he couldn't get the rotary mechanism on the front of it to work. So they went back and pulled out the tablet that they designed and then turned it into the iPhone. So yes, they had some inventions, but in the initial instance, that wasn't what it ended up. But then look at what it is today. So innovation, I think, is really, really important. And of course, invention is important. Yeah. But taking things and doing them innovatively to address the evolving market needs, and the market's always evolving. Yeah.
I think people often, and especially through the years for me, come to me and they want the next sexy thing. They want the technology that everybody's excited about, that's up and coming. And, infrastructure became boring and old hat, but it's always got to be there. So how can you do it differently and solve a problem with it? So I just, I think you're right. It's the perspective rather than the tech. It's the solving of the problems and the innovation. And interesting what you're saying about Steve Jobs. He made a lot of mistakes. He made a lot of stuff, a lot of choices, be bold, and he got fired. Yeah. He ended up leaving the business, didn't he? And he and then coming back and doing it again. And so that's just another example of why I think it's important for people to take that step.
It was interesting. You said people are looking for the let's call it the silver bullet technology. What's the next one that'll be fantastic? I think there's a lot around with regards to leadership at the moment where people are looking for that too. And something that I've found through my very meandering path, as many of the people on this call that were going to join in would know, I've found that leadership is art. It's not science. A lot of people are looking for a silver bullet in leadership, and I haven't found one yet. I've read extensively. I've studied the subject formally, and when it really comes down to it, there's scientific management. You apply a certain amount of resources to a certain amount of raw materials or a particular project, and you can pretty much put in a computer and get out when it'll be finished. Leadership's not like that.
Yeah.
Leadership's art. Leadership's working with all of the soft stuff. So to look for a real silver bullet in leadership is a bit like saying, well, what's the silver bullet for the next technology that's going to come through?
Yes.
Don't know. Don't know. But how you innovate and how you use the things that you've got, both in the technology space and apply them and in the leadership space, that's where the magic happens.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. And there's no silver bullet. And this is why I love what I'm doing with this program, is that we're bringing people to experience and people who've sort of, like you say, wandered the meandering path, or not wandered it, but we run pretty quickly down the meandering path. And so, learning from those things, but also I think it's a question of, once you do pick something up that doesn't work or that does work, is to use that rather than, I think there's a tendency to just be on the hamster wheel and be moving so quickly that you kind of forget what does work and what's important. I got more questions coming in here, so I'll have a look at those. I don't know if you can see them from where you are.
And I'll see what I can do with them.
Okay, so Srikanth has said, Philip, what's your view on innovation in the Australian market? Where do you think we are currently? Do you think there's a recognition amongst industry leaders to do more? It's a huge question.
There's the leaders that I talk to. There is a will. Let's take the pandemic out of it for the moment, because that's a unique, hopefully one in 100-year event. But there is a lot of understanding that innovation is important. Global competition's pushing that. One of the, and in the companies that I've been involved in, and the most recent one, we had our own invention, and I was looking to take that to the world. The pandemic did get in the way of that one, but the Australian marketplace at the moment, in terms of innovation, I think it's going to gain momentum. There's been at times an absence of support for innovation. It's a lot easier to buy things from overseas. But you do look. There's the signs here. I think that there's a groundswell. In particular areas, it makes no sense at all trying to take on mega companies of any type out of a marketplace where you've only got 25 million people, but where you've got really clever people and strong capabilities in things like biotech and in ICT, but in particular areas. I think that you're going to see a swell of that in the marketplace.
Mm. It's interesting because you do see some really impressive, powerful innovations come out of Australia, but they're few and far between. And I suppose it's around investment as well.
Yeah, look, we've had it's very unfortunate, but over the years we've had a lot of inventions come out of Australia that unfortunately have either been sold overseas or gone overseas or failed. That really they were great technologies. And I think we've got to be careful not to say, well, look in the rearview mirror and say, well, that didn't work, so why would we try doing that? Forget it. I think that's something I hope that the investors in the marketplace in general, when I say the market, I'm talking about the stock markets and the finance markets, etc. So no, we really will back this in, but we've got to get much better at tying in what we're doing in these areas into the global markets, so that we've got the avenues into those global markets.
Yeah. Thank you. And hopefully, Shrikant, that has answered your question. Just a couple of comments coming through as well. Marty really liked your analogy on leadership before, so just to share that with you. And Glenn has shared, I think it's a quote, innovation is having original ideas that have value. Sir Ken Robinson. So Glenn, is Ken related to you, I will ask?
Is Ken related to that?
Well, Glenn's name is Glenn Robinson, and the person who for the quote is from is Sir Ken Robinson. So I was just checking to see if they're related. Yeah. And Cheryl Woods is on. Hi, Cheryl. How are you? Philip, so much happening innovation with AI, machine learning, security, cloud, SaaS. What do you think is the next big thing to focus on and invest in?
Look, certainly, the software as a service side of things, cloud has gained momentum. The edge computing is people are realizing that you need to have computing a little closer maybe than where you've got your data housed. So I think that's a growth area. And I think telecommunications, communications, 5G that's a whole new. It's going to change the face of a whole lot of delivery of information and technology. And just the continual innovation in software, whether it's apps at the user level, when I say the general market level, or clever apps for big organisations.
Yeah, it's becoming more common to just create an app now as well, just to make things work and do it yourself. 5G is incredibly exciting, I think. And Glenn thinks, yes, Glenn, somewhere in history you must be related to Ken. I'd claim it. Sorry, there's just a conversation. Yes, yeah, it is a lot to do with innovation. Let's just move the conversation onto the human side a minute. So, in terms of we talked about leadership being an art. What are some of the key elements that you think good leaders need in an environment where you are looking for innovation and where technology is changing and there's opportunity?
There's really just a few key points, I think, to leadership that apply across the board, even whether it's technology or whether it's in research and development, or whether it's in sales or whether it's in accounting. If you're going to lead a group of people, you've got to have a vision for them. So if you want to go and develop a new app that's going to do something fantastic, well, you better have a vision of what that is and be able to communicate that and be passionate about it. And then you've then got to get people engaged who want to follow that and who will buy into that. So there's a lot around, assembling the right teams and having all of these structures. But at that level, if you are going to lead it, whether you're a middle manager / leader or whether you're the CEO, you've got to be able to buy into that. And one of the things that I've seen happen in organisations is where you get a disconnect between the leaders of small or large groups of people and the overall vision or lack of it in organisations as to where they're going.
Yeah.
So if you want to have a team that's actually producing and innovating and doing things, they've got to have a purpose. They've got to have a reason to do that. And as leaders, that's the sort of thing that we need to talk to the heart. Where you get alignment between visions and values and the cultures in the organisation. And see, people do things for their reason. They don't do it for you. They do it for their reasons. So if you can marry that with where you're going and let them know that this is going to be something worth being part of, that's where the magic happens. You get people really enthusiastic and want to go ahead with it.
Yeah. Are there times in your career where you've seen it really work from that perspective, and are there times where you haven't?
Well, look, there's been plenty of times where it's really worked. And, basically any success I've had, whether it was I tended to end up in enterprise sales and in live sales and driving, some you win, some you don't, but some very large projects that we won. And, a good example was, it's all gone now, but I, not long after I joined Datacraft as a salesman, I got given the State Bank of Victoria account when it existed. And they were going after a whole new network. And this was 557 branches with 2 data centers. So this is not a trivial network. So I decided, yes, I'll have a go at this. Well, the team of people that got involved around that, we just worked as a team, and we won. And it was in conjunction with another company, which has also gone now, ICL. But we won that thing. We only beat IBM, and we only beat Unisys. And here we were at Datacraft, and this group of people, and we won. But we won it because the people bought into it. There were people helping put together the responses. I was getting people. I had, guys would drop in at my place with technical information, and we'd have a couple of beers, and so there was that real passion about it, and it won. And similarly in other instances, we haven't got time to go through half of them, but where you get a buy-in, and the thing that I love about it is you watch the people in those teams, and they go on out of that, and hopefully they refer back to that, because I know a lot of those people are very successful in their own right now.
Yeah. So this is going to be a big question, but what do you think is I was going to say the secret ingredient, but what is the key element? Because it's really about values, I suppose, and drivers in the people, and that connecting in with those of the leader and the business. Is there anything that you sort of see as overarching that you tend to see most of the time when you see successful people work well in this environment?
Yes, and it is. It is that shared sense of purpose. Shared sense of purpose. You mentioned earlier that I was on the board of Boxall Institute in Victoria. I loved that. I spent 12 years there and watched people in an education environment just do fantastic things. And you could tell from the boardroom through to the managers, through to the people, through to the students. Some of the greatest delights I had was sitting on Student of the Year interviews where you were listening to these people, and just to see, the wonder of these people all pushing in the right direction. Well, not the right direction, in their direction, which I thought was the right direction. That was magic, and that didn't have a lot to do with corporate anything, but that translates to any industry and any endeavor. You get that sense of purpose, and I'm really doing something here that makes a difference. People engaged in that, to me, that's I won't call it the secret, because it's not a secret. You know it. You walk into a room and you see people doing, or hear them or feel them doing what they're doing. You're there. You've got it. And that's takes a lot of work, and it's not simple. But you get to that stage, that's where performance and magic happens.
Yeah, and it can't be as simple as. I mean, you hear a lot about vision and purpose. It can't be as simple as that. There's got to be something that a leader does or a business does to, underneath that.
Yeah, see, I said before, people do things for their reasons, not yours. Yeah. But on the other side of the coin is people don't follow what you say. People follow what you do.
Right.
So if you demonstrate that you are committed and you are passionate about these things, there's one minor tripping point, and that is you better be a good manager. If you're going to be a good leader, you better be a good manager, because you do not want to lead people into an abyss.
Yes.
Or if they think you're leading them into an abyss, they'll jump off quicker than you will. But provided that you're going somewhere that's tangible, believable, then you, as the leader, whether you're leading 5 people going out to, fix a road, or whether you're leading 5,000 people to fix the planet with global warming, you have to demonstrate every day in everything that you do alignment with what you're doing. So you're authentic, you're trustworthy, and people spot a fake a mile away.
Yeah.
So, and if you're put into a position and you think that you're going to use your position or your title to inspire people, sorry, no, they'll be there, they'll turn up, but then you'll get presenteeism.
Yes,
but that's not productivity.
I like that, presenteeism. Okay, I haven't heard that yet. That's a good term.
Presenteeism, it's rife.
Yeah, right.
There was a song that I used to hear on the radio, and I hated it. And there was a line in it that said, "My job is very boring. I'm an office clerk." And I used to hear that and think, "What the hell are you doing there? Get out!" But so many people, and I understand what they're doing there, because unfortunately, everyone's got to earn a living. So unfortunately, a lot of people have got to do what they find boring. But as a leader, look to those people and help them. Don't let them be bored. Let them find make them heroes.
Yeah. We've hit 12 o'clock. Sorry, I was just distracted slightly there by the chat box again. We've hit 12 o'clock. We've still got 30 people on. And so I'm just going to ask if you're happy to keep going. I'm happy to keep going. And if anyone
wants to drop off, if anyone's bored and wants to drop off.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, I know people have got things that they need to get to or whatever, so I get that. But so look, if we can take a couple more questions. Philip's frozen. Hopefully he will unfreeze in a moment. I'm looking at the chat box. Thank you, Marty, for your comment. Yes, it is. People are absolutely the heart of the organisation, and I love that you describe it that way. It looks like we've lost Philip, so we were just talking about staying on. He will no doubt be back in a moment. So just to keep talking through the chats at the moment. So Hold on. Not sure. I haven't. This one hasn't happened before. No, I don't want to. It's offering me the option to kick Philip out of the stream. But look, thank you all for coming on. I'm just looking at Paul's comment here. Phil Fender or Gibson. Oh, okay. I'll ask him that question if we get him back on. I have no idea. I'm guessing we're talking guitars here, and I have no idea. Grounded when business opportunities or the team, etc., not going as intended. Who do you turn to? Yeah, sorry, Paul, I just read your whole question. Yeah, look, in terms of leadership, that is a really good question, and as I say all the time, leadership is lonely. I've got Philip back here, so I'm going to bring him back in. There he is. I can't hear you now. You need to unmute. Can I unmute you? Oh. No, I can't hear you. Sorry, Paul. So I'll just I'm going to start just responding to your question before Philip is back on. He's here, but we can't hear him. So yeah, in terms of who you turn to, it is really challenging, and so sometimes I think that is why it's important to have mentors, maybe outside of your business, that you can have a conversation with and talk to, and that's one of the great things about people like Philip. I'll just talk about him now while he's here. Is that I'm sure he's always open to answer questions for people, or sort of be a bit of a sounding board at times when things are not going as well. But I think depending, Paul, on the team you've got around you as well. If you're working in a culture where communication and feedback is valued, then it's important to reach out to the people in the team and above you, and even below, and have these conversations, especially in this environment that we're in right now. We're still having trouble, Philip, with your sound. I don't know why it's not working. I'm trying to, maybe if I'm gonna do the kick from studio with the other one and see if that helps. Now can we hear you? Has that changed anything? Yes. I think I can hear you now. No? You must have unplugged something. Okay, sorry, I'm just going to jump back into the chat box. David Davey, thank you for being here. Sorry you had to leave. We had some glitches towards the end there. Kiara, fantastic. Thank you for joining. George, thank you so much. You're right. Philip is a true leader and gentleman of the industry. Thank you for that comment. That was from George Giannakakis. You're welcome, Srikanth. Thank you so much for dropping in. Maybe I've missed you already. Yes, Scott, authenticity is a big takeaway. No one demonstrates that better than Phil. Yeah. Authenticity is so important, and just being grounded and real. And you hear a lot about vulnerability and authenticity and all of those things. And it's not something that I think you can actually turn on. It's something that just is, something, it is innate in you. But I think, the concept of vulnerability is something that is misunderstood in the marketplace as well. So it doesn't mean you have to be a gibbering wreck. It just means that you need to be open to being real, being realistic, being open, being honest, talking about when you don't know, and just being open and honest with that, and using the amazing people who are around you. And I think everybody's a leader and everybody's a mentor if they choose to be. So thank you, everybody. Lots of wonderful comments here. Thanking for the session. Thank you, Hassan. Thank you, Glenn. I'm glad you enjoyed it. And there's more LinkedIn users. Try pressing mute and then unmute again. There you go. Try that. That was a comment from Scott. Mute, unmute. Hold on. Try now. There you go. It's flashing off. Can we hear now? So sorry about the sound issue. I'm not sure what's happened there. So I think, look, we're probably best to wrap it up, and we'll just talk about Philip again for a second while he watches on. So thank you so much, Philip, for your input, your guidance, and everything. It's been fabulous. If anybody does want to connect with Philip, please do that. You can do that on LinkedIn. You can do that if you have his contact details, obviously, as well. Really appreciate you joining us. I think this is, leadership is lonely, and it is a very wonderful thing that people with so much experience are happy to come on and share their wisdom and their experience with us. So I really appreciate it. As I said, if you're interested in more of this so that we get more connected and you get deeper experience and knowledge from the people that I'm talking to here, they will be giving and sharing more of their time in the program that I will be launching on the 1st of March. For the $49 offer, please ping me, because that will be closing when we get to launch date. So $49 for early birds. I always think that's a funny way of describing it, early birds. But they do catch the worm, as they say. So anyway, I will say goodbye, and please reach out to me as well if there's anything I can do, answer for you. And we look forward to seeing you next week. Next week, I have Scott McKinnell, who is running, I'm just trying to remember what company he's running now. He is at a wonderful security vendor and has been in the security industry for many years, and is a well-respected leader also. So I'll look forward to having Scott on next week. I will see you all back here then. All right.
Thanks, Rebecca.
Oh my goodness, your voice.
I got it. I finally got it back.
Gave me a fright.
Sorry about that.
No, all good. All right, lots of people thanking you, and really grateful for your time. So thanks, everybody. I will end the broadcast here, and thanks again to you, Philip.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Rebecca.